Welcome back to the teacher time. Now, let us see a question on the screen. The question is, in which category of nerves do the following belong? Question number 1, optic nerve. Optic nerve. Optic nerve belongs to the category of nerves called sensory nerves. So, optic nerve is a sensory nerve. It carries impulses from sense organs, the sense organ eye to the brain. The second question, you can see that the nerve that carry impulses from central nervous system to other part of the body and different parts of the body to the central nervous system. It is a third type of nerves that is called mixed nerve. I hope it is clear. So, two questions are there. One is optic nerve, optic nerve belongs to optic nerve is a sensory nerve, and the second one is the nerve which carry impulses from in both directions, and these type of nerves are called mixed nerves. Now, let us see how the nerve impulses are transmitted in our body. Transmission of impulses. Impulses are received by the tip of the dendron, and the dendron tip is called dendrites. So, impulses are received by the dendrites. Dendrites pass this information to the dendron. From the dendron, this information in the form of electrical impulses. So, in our body, the nerve impulses are transmitted as electrochemical impulses. So, the tip of the dendron called dendrite receive the information, and this information is passed on to the cell body. From the cell body, this information is carried by the axon. And axons, you know that axons end in branches. This is called axonite. Then the axonites have certain swellings at the end of the axonite, and this is also known as nerve ending or presynaptic nerve ending. So, when these electrical impulses or the nerve impulses reach the end of the axonite called nerve ending, the nerve ending release certain chemicals, and these chemicals are called neurotransmitter. For example, there are 40 such neurotransmitters in our body. One is acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is a neurotransmitter. Another one, dopamine. These are examples of the neurotransmitters which are present in our body. There are 40 such chemicals which are present in our body. So, when the nerve impulses reach the end of the axonite called nerve endings, from the nerve endings, this neurotransmitter is released into a small gap here. There is a gap between the axonite of one neuron and the dendrite of the next neuron, and this gap is called synaptic cleft. And the junction where there is a communication between the two neurons, or the point where the nerve impulses are transmitted from one neuron to the next neuron, that junction is called synapse. So, synapse is formed by the axonite of one nerve cell and the dendrite of the next nerve cell. So, once again let me repeat, it is a dendrite that receive the impulses. These impulses are then carried to the cell body. From the cell body, these impulses are transmitted by the axon, and the axons end in branches called axonite. Axonites end in swellings, and these swellings are called nerve endings. So, when the impulses reach the nerve endings, a chemical is released into the gap, and the gap between the two neurons, that is called a synaptic gap or synaptic cleft. Then this junction where the impulses are transmitted from one neuron to the next neuron, that is called a synapse, and it again stimulate the dendrite of the next neuron. Once again it is carried to the cell body, and this process is repeated. You can see here, look at the screen, you can see that is there is a neuron, it's called a sensing neuron. The nerve impulses, the direction of the transmission of the impulses are shown when it reaches the end of the axon. It's called axonite. Then next neuron, it is a receiving neuron. Then the enlarged portion, look at the enlarged portion, you can see there is a small gap, and this small gap is called a synaptic gap. And when the nerve impulses reach the end of the axonite, it's called a nerve ending, or it is also called a presynaptic knob. Some chemicals are released into the gap. The gap is called a synaptic gap. And these, with the help of these chemicals, the nerve impulses are transmitted, or it is carried from one neuron to the next neuron, or the axonite of one neuron to the dendrite of the next neuron. This is how the nerve impulses are transmitted in our body. You can see a video showing the transmission of the nerve impulses. Look at the screen. Here it is transmitted in the form of electrochemical impulses. Now, let us see a question based on the topic that we discussed. Analyze a given flow chart showing the transmission of impulses across the neuron and find out what A, B, C stand for. So, here once again look at the board. It is a dendrite that receives the information, and this information is in the form of electrical impulses, and these electrical impulses are carried by the axon. Electrical impulses are carried by the axon from the cell body to the nerve ending, and at the nerve endings these electrical impulses get converted into chemical stimuli. So, in our body the nerve impulses are transmitted in the form of electrochemical impulses and stimulate the dendrite of the next nerve cell, so that it is in this way the nerve impulses are transmitted from one part of the body to the other part of the body. Now, let us see another question based on the topic that we discussed. Look at the screen. With reference to the given diagram, answer the question given below. The part that carries impulses away from the cell body, that is the first question. I hope you got the answer. The answer is axon. Then now see the next question. The part that releases the neurotransmitter. Already explained to you that the junction between the two neurons, that is called synapse. In the synapse, the nerve impulses are transmitted from one neuron to the next neuron with the help of certain chemicals, and these chemicals are called neurotransmitters. There are so many such chemicals in the screen. You can see one such chemical, that is called dopamine, the part that releases the neurotransmitter. I hope you got the answer. Let us see the answer. It is axonite or the nerve ending. Axonite or the nerve ending that releases the neurotransmitter. Then the part that carry impulses to the cell body, it is dendron. So, the part that receive the impulse is the dendrite, and the part that carry impulse to the cell body, that is dendron. Then how does the next questions you see, how does the difference in the level of dopamine affect the health? Dopamine is a neurotransmitter which transmit impulses from one neuron to the next neuron. Suppose if there is a deficiency of neurotransmitters in our body, that will affect the transmission of the impulses, that affects. So, deficiency of dopamine affects the transmission of impulses from one part of the body to the other part of the body. Now, on the screen you can see a picture. There are certain actions which we are performing without thinking. For example, suppose if we touch a hot object, immediately we will drop it, or if we step on a pin, immediately we withdraw a leg. This is a part of the defense mechanism of the body. So, there are certain actions which we are performing without thinking, and such actions that we perform without thinking are called reflex actions. So, once again let me repeat what is a reflex action. Reflex actions are sudden unconscious response to a stimulus. Reflex action are quick, involuntary, unconscious actions in response to a unconscious actions in response to a stimulus. These are actions performed without thinking. Without thinking, I mean, because in reflex actions, brain is not involved, because the brain is responsible for controlling our consciousness. So these actions are also called unconscious actions. For example, suppose if we step on a pin, immediately we withdraw our leg. This is an example of a reflex actions. So reflex actions are quick and involuntary unconscious actions in response to a stimulus. Now let us see the path of the reflex action. For example, suppose if we touch a hot object, the thermoreceptors which are present on the skin receives the stimulus. You can see on the screen the thermoreceptors on the skin receive the stimulus. This stimulus is carried by a sensory nerve to the spinal cord. So most of the reflexes are formed in the spinal cord. The impulses before reaching the brain, these actions are taken by the spinal cord. So once again, the path, we can see the path of the reflex action. For example, when we touch a hot object, the thermoreceptors on the skin receive the stimulus, and this stimulus is carried by the sensory neuron to the spinal cord. So once again, let me write on the board. When we touch a hot object, the receptors or the thermoreceptors which are present on the skin receives the stimulus, and this stimulus is carried by a sensory nerve, a sensory neuron to the spinal cord, and the spinal cords take the decision. The decision of the spinal cord is carried by another nerve that is called the motor nerve to the effector organ. Effector organs are muscles. Immediately we withdraw our legs or withdraw our hand if we touch a hot object. So once again, this is the pathway of the reflex action. Receptors on the skin receive the stimulus, and this stimulus is carried by a sensory neuron to the spinal cord. Spinal cord takes the decision, and the decision of the spinal cord is carried by a motor neuron to the effector organs, and effector organs respond accordingly. Then these actions are taken by the spinal cord, but the impulses later on reach the brain also. That is the reason when we touch a hot object, first we drop the object. The action is controlled by the spinal cord, but after that we feel pain, because the pain impulses reach the brain only after the action is over. This is called reflex action. You can see a flow diagram showing the reflex action. Once again, receptors on the skin receive the stimulus, a sensory neuron carry the stimulus to the spinal cord. The spinal cord takes a decision. The decision of the spinal cord is carried by a motor neuron, and accordingly the muscle or the effector organ carry out the action. Once again, when we touch a hot object, the pain receptors in the finger receive the stimulus, sensory neuron, it's carried by the interneuron to the spinal cord, and the motor neuron carry the decision of the spinal cord, and this decision is carried out by the effector muscles. Now, these are some of the examples of reflex actions. You can see on the screen: coughing, yawning, watering the mouth at the sight of a good food, blinking of eye if something enters, or if somebody lit a torch in our eye, immediately we close our eyelids. This is another example of reflex action. Now, let us see a question based on the reflex action. The question is to label, the diagram is given to you, the diagram of the reflex arc or the pathway through which the reflex action travels. The diagram is given and you are asked to label the parts. First one, it is, for example, in this case we can say that if we step on a pin, the A is receptor, pain receptor of the leg, receives the stimulus. A is a receptor, and B the information received by the receptor is carried by a sensory nerve. So B is sensory nerve, and this is carried to the spinal cord, where there is a connection between the sensory neuron and the motor neuron, and this connection, that is called interneuron. C is interneuron. And the next one, the decision of the spinal cord. For example, if you step on a pin, the decision is to withdraw a leg. This decision is carried by motor neuron. And the last one, E, it is the effector organ. I hope it is clear. So the question is to label the parts of the reflex arc. The first one, it is a receptor, receives a stimulus. Second one is a sensory neuron that carry impulses to the spinal cord. And the third one is interneuron, is a part of the spinal cord where the sensory neuron and the motor neuron are connected. Then the next part is motor neuron, and the last part, that is E, is the effector muscle which carry out the action. Now let us see another question. This is an incomplete page from the Neetu's science diary. Complete it suitably. The first part you can see on the screen. Fingertips unknowingly touches the thorn. Dash get excited. Once again, let me write the answer on the board. It is the receptors get excited. It is the receptors or the pain receptors get excited. Then the next, second one, dash neuron carries impulses to the spinal cord. The answer, sensory neuron. Sensory neuron carry impulses to the spinal cord. The next, dash neuron connects sensory neuron with motor neuron. I know you that the answer is interneuron. The next one, dash neuron carry messages from the spinal cord to the muscle. Answer to this question, it is motor neuron. Then the hand is withdrawn by the action of the muscles. I hope it's clear. So the reflex actions are quick, unconscious, involuntary actions in response to a stimulus. This is a part of the defense mechanism of the body, because there are certain occasions where our body has to respond without thinking. So these actions, as the brain or the cerebrum is not involved, these actions are also called unconscious actions. I hope the reflex arc and what are the different parts of the reflex arc, that is clear to you. Now let us move on to the next part, that is brain. Brain is in the beginning of the session, already told you the nervous system can be divided into two parts, central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system is the main processing center in the body. The central nervous system consisting of two parts. First part is the processing center in our body, brain, and the second one is spinal cord. You can see on the screen, the brain sits in a cavity in the skull, and it is protected by a hard bony covering, and is called skull, or it is also called cranium. So the brain is protected by a hard bony covering called cranium. Inside the cranium, it is covered by a three-layered membrane. Inside the cranium is a bony covering. Inside this bony covering, brain is covered by a three-layered membrane, and this three-layered membrane, it is called meninges. In between the layers of the meninges, there is a fluid, and the fluid is called cerebrospinal fluid. This cerebrospinal fluid is derived from the blood, and then it is renewed also by the blood. So brain sits in a cavity in the skull, and it is protected by a hard bony covering called the cranium. And inside the cranium, the brain has a 3-layered membrane covering, and this 3-layered membrane covering, that is called meninges. In between the layers of the meninges, there is a fluid, clear fluid, and this fluid is called cerebrospinal fluid. Now let us see what is the function of the cerebrospinal fluid. One function of the cerebrospinal fluid: our brain is almost 1.4 kilogram in weight. So as it is covered by a fluid filled membrane, it reduces the pressure. That is one of the function. The second one is it acts as a shock absorber. The cerebrospinal fluid and the meninges acts as a shock absorber. This is how our brain is protected. Now let us see the structure of the human brain. Here you can see, if you look at the screen, you can see that the brain is highly folded. There are so many infoldings and grooves on the surface. These infoldings and also the highly folded nature is to increase the surface area by folding, or it is to accommodate more number of neurons and to increase the capacity of the brain. If you examine the surface of the brain, it can be seen that it is highly folded, so many infoldings and so many grooves. This is because in the brain the neurons are tightly packed. This is to increase the efficiency of the brain. So our brain externally, if you examine, can be seen that it is highly folded or highly so many infoldings and grooves. It is to increase the efficiency. The brain's detailed structure of the brain and the functions of different parts of the brain we will be discussing in the next class. Thank you for listening.